Welcome to the first part of the instruction video. In this first part, I will give you a brief overview on how to use the Capital IQ Excel template and what you can get out of this. Basically, this Capital IQ workbook facilitates retrieving financial information such as multiples, ratios, and margins out of the Capital IQ database based on two sets of inputs that is required from your end. Now, the first set of input which is required from your end is a selection of comparable companies, which you would input here in this input tab, and the second bit which is required from you is an input of a selection of comparable transactions, which you would input in this tab over here. Let's say you have already selected a set of comparables and you save them as a screen in Capital IQ. If you have done this, you can set your cursor into cell B5. You go to the Capital IQ ribbon up here. You could go to screening, and let's say you have named your set of comparables here, let's say restaurants or company. You would click this, you would say OK, and then the set of comparables would drop down here. You can also just copy and paste some tickers from Capital IQ into these cells right here. Make sure that if you have 10 tickers that you also have corresponding 10 times yes here, okay? I'll explain to you what the difference is between a yes and a no in a minute. Here, for example, is another set of input cells for you to insert information. And let's say you do have a target in mind which you would like to value. So you could type in your target name here. By default, I have selected US dollars as the currency, so all fiscal or financial information retrieved out of the Capital IQ database, it would be in US dollars. This is quite an important selection that you would have to make. Basically, you can have your output either in quarterly or in fiscal year outputs. So you can have, let's say, 10 years of EV/EBITDA multiples, or you could have 10 quarters of EV/EBITDA multiples. And this is another important input tab for you. It's basically a valuation date. So let's say your valuation date is not today. If it would be today, you'd select it here, but let's assume it's not today. Let's assume it is a specific date. And for demonstration purposes, I've actually selected a date in between two quarters. So let's say your valuation date is May 31st, which is in between two quarters. Obviously, the multiples which you will be interested in should include this view. So you would want your multiples to give you information of what the company would have been worth as of this date. This is especially important when thinking about enterprise value or price as the denominator of a multiple. Now that one should definitely reflect the most recent data that would be available, and in case of May, that would be for the stock price, the market cap as of that date, and all other balance sheet information as of quarter one. Now this logic will be incorporated in this model, so you just need to make sure that you type in the right valuation date here. This is the last set of input that you can put in this input tab here, and it is a placeholder for the company which you would like to value. So let's say you have a company and you have some very basic historical information. You can type this information in here, and if you also happen to have some EBITDA forecast, you can type that into here. Based on this and the output multiples, you can get a very simple valuation overview in this tab. So basically it takes, let's say, this EBITDA and then your EBITDA multiple, and it gives you an implied enterprise value in this tab. This is basically a nice visualization of a very simple valuation that you can get out of relative valuation based on comparable companies and comparable transactions. The second set of inputs, as I said, is comparable transaction identifiers to be input into these cells here. And similar to a comparable company analysis set, you can save a screen on Capital IQ, and you can retrieve this screen, or better yet, the transaction identifiers, by putting your cursor into here, selecting from the Capital IQ ribbon yet another screening set. This time it would be a transaction. You would select this, you would say OK, and it would override this data. Okay, what else? Okay, so let us assume you have inputted comparable companies tickers in this tab and comparable transaction tickers here. What you would do, you would press this button as a next step. Okay, and if you have, let's say, less transactions, if you would only have, let's say, 4 transactions, pressing this would actually shrink all of this. It would go up, and this one wouldn't capture everything up to row 17. It would capture, the corresponding number of data, so you don't have to adjust anything here. Okay, what will be the next step? The next step would be going back into your input tab. It would be pressing this macro button here, and what this would do, it would make a copy of this tab. Okay, and let's say you have 10 comparable companies. It would copy this tab, which contains on a very detailed level a lot of company information, which is then used in order to arrive at any output which you can see here. Okay, so let's say you have 10 comparable companies. So what it would do, this macro button that you have just pressed, it would take a copy of this tab here, and it would create 10 additional tabs, name them, and once that is done, and be advised this might take a long time, it can take from anywhere from 5 minutes to half an hour, depending on the number of tickers. What you would do after that, it would be going back to the Capital IQ ribbon, go to refresh, and after you have done all of this, you would go and refresh the entire workbook, and then you would be in a position of getting into your analysis mode and taking all this information and doing your analysis. So this was the first part of the video. I'll see you in the second part of the video, where I will get into a little bit more detail.